Happy Friday, everybody. How is it going? We made it through the week. Let's see who is in here. Dainty Dane. So you're basically incognito. I changed names. Why on earth did it make me create a channel to chat? That pesky internet. Damn Al Gore. Katie Bird, good morning. Good morning. Hello, Outlaw Trucker. Hey, Todd. Hello, Nurse Ratchet. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. Juicy Tequila Bobo, good morning. I want to know what's going on behind that name. That's awesome. Good morning, Kat. What big eyes. I know. I need the Kleenex too. Let me see here. Hello, just me. How are you doing, honey? I'm missing someone. Truth, Lies, and Alibis. Hello. Hello, Deb. Let's see here. Hello, Aggie. Hi, Celeste. Yeah, I'm cold too. Oh, did I miss Marie? Katie, she said, hi, Brooke. I'm missing people. Alex, morning. Pearly, morning. Angela, morning. Julie, you guys are the best. So, not that any of the cases that we talk about are easy to understand or digest. This one is full of just, it's deplorable. The depravity you can't even wrap your mind around, okay? We still keep everything light. We have open opinions, but I think this is going to be one that we're all going to be able to agree on because this is heinous. And it is so bad that the sheriff had a very hard time giving an interview. A judge had to recuse himself because it was so hard to listen to. So we'll get to that in a minute. Let's catch up with Kevin and see what he's doing. And I'm going to have an open panel. So, it's a small group in here today, about 50 people. Don't be shy. Let's talk about this today. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Brooks. Good morning, everybody. How is everyone?
And by the way, if I get kicked out, guys, you know the routine. I'll be right back.
Yep. And the weather is changing. It makes you just want to stay in bed with the covers on,
Well, that's about this morning.
Yeah, it was. I always have my fan on, even in the winter. I cannot stand going to bed without the fan, the noise and the breeze blowing on me. I gotta have a fan. But this is a time of year where I'd like to be a bear and just wake up in the spring.
Well, I didn't realize I didn't have my heat on. And I was like, man, it's chilly in here. And I kept looking at the thermostat and I'm like, don't tell me my heat's broken. Well, I had it on off. I just couldn't see because it's dark in the hallway.
Right.
There was a frost warning not too far from me. I know what Big Eyes was saying she couldn't warm up yesterday.
Right. Well, hell, it snowed here the other day. In fact, yesterday in Manton, that's about, 45, 50 minutes from here, they had snow on the ground. And I was like, that's terrible.
Oh, it is. It's too early for that.
It is.
Please let us have turkey in November before we have to see all that winter precipitation.
I know. I was just commenting to my wife last night. I was watching the game, the Colts and the Jets, and the Christmas commercials. I was like, damn. It was just Halloween. And they already got the Christmas commercials rolling.
What always happens here, I swear, is it'll be cold on Halloween. or it's hot as hell. So I shouldn't say that because you never know about the weather here. And then it starts warming up because like it's going to be, you know, in the 70s this weekend. I mean, we've had, you know, Christmas where, you know, we were like grilling outside. So it's just, you know, bipolar weather here.
Right. Hey, speaking of football, I don't want to change the subject, but go Michigan State.
Man, you guys are on a roll. I'm glad OU's picking it up too. Instead of just doing things in the fourth quarter, they actually played a whole game, which was good.
Michigan.
I think we lost a ranking. I think we went from 4th to 5th.
Yeah, Michigan State went from 8th or 9th to third. And they play Indiana this week tomorrow. And but Michigan State's undefeated. Yep.
Keandra,
anyway.
This case is so effed up. I'm so mad about this case. I can't even see straight. Now, I was going to jump right in and do a live about this when I heard about it. And I was on vacation, but I was like, I'm just not going to let this go. I couldn't read an article without crying. So I knew, I mean, y'all heard me yesterday. You knew I couldn't, I could barely make it through that talking to Michaela's mom. So anyway, just bear with me. You know, we do everything live. So again, if I get kicked out, I'll be back on. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, I'd say. Probably one of the worst cases I've ever heard. Seriously.
Well, and here's the thing. I've been following true crime for decades. Decades. And it takes a lot to knock my socks off. It really does. Nothing surprises me. And I thought, this can't be real.
Yeah, no shit.
This cannot be real. This just can't be real.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that somebody doing that to a damn animal, or but your own flesh and blood. Mm-hmm. Man, that is messed up.
I mean, I want the mom to have as harsh or a harsher penalty than him. But anyway, we'll get to that. I'm going to put a video up real quick. Bear with me.
And they need to be in prison, and they need to throw them out in general population for one day. See how that goes. I have no sympathy for him at all. And we're waiting. So I hope everybody had a good week. Today's Friday. Yippee!
Yeah. All right. Hang on.
For sure. Okay.
Ed Gonzalez, Harris County Sheriff, joined here by several of our leaders. We have Lieutenant Bruce immediately to my right, Lieutenant Vinegary, and then Lieutenant Cook as well to my left. Very horrific situation out here, very tragic. Been in this business for a long time, and I had never heard a scenario like this. It really caught me by surprise. What we have right here is we have an apartment unit. It appears to be where 3 juveniles were left abandoned pretty much. I'm told they range in ages from 15, 10, and 7 years old. They lived in a period of time. At the same time, we also have the skeletal remains of what appears to be a juvenile. It appears to have been there for also an extended period of time. We don't know how long. That'll be part of the forensic investigation. We don't know the exact age, but we anticipate again that it's the skeletal remains for a juvenile. And other than that, right now, it's just very preliminary information. We're trying to identify next of kin to determine exactly what's happened and how we got to this point. But again, a very horrific set of circumstances. And so, very troubled by all this. Our members are troubled by it, but, we're going to make sure we do everything we can to make sure we conduct a thorough follow-up investigation, make sure that the kids are okay. This will be a follow-up investigation involving multiple agencies because we also have juveniles involved. So that's what we have right now. En español, brevemente, estamos aquí en una unidad, en unos apartamentos, encontramos a 3 juveniles que parecen abandonados por un tiempo.
Okay, so he repeats it in Spanish. I am so bothered by this, by all the heads that didn't turn the right way. So last November, so basically a year ago, sometime in the month of November of 2020, okay, a year ago, Brian Coulter, okay, I'm going to put this piece of shit up.
That boy needs an ass whooping.
He beat Kendrick Lee to death. Present were the mother, Gloria, the 3 brothers. I'm not going to mention their names, not going to show their pictures. They wrapped him in a blanket and put him in a closet. Probably Gloria did it. She didn't intercede. She didn't call 911. Nothing. The 15-year-old thought at some point she was going to call 911. They all lived in the apartment. They all lived in the apartment for a few months. Okay, I gotta turn this off. I think by now I'd know, right? How rude. Anyway, they all lived in the apartment. Brian and Gloria, let me put her up because I can't look at him anymore. I can't look at her either, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I bet he's not so tough now.
Oh, it gets better.
Yeah.
So they left the apartment several months later, okay? And mind you, this is a new case, so if I say something wrong, please correct me. They left the apartment. Not only did they leave the 15-year-old, the 10-year-old, and the 7-year-old there to fend for themselves, they took the beds, couch, TV, anything that they need to keep themselves comfortable. So that's Gloria, that's the mom, that's little Kendrick that's dead, and that's Brian. Left them there without even something to sit on, a bed to sleep in.
I wonder if he's in a gang. Because a lot of time gangs, they have teardrops, and a teardrop signifies someone that they ended their life. But he's got like a couple crosses, on the corner of his eye. And then he's got that, is that a tattoo? What does that tattoo say on his neck? Ends with an R.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just wondering if he's in. But anyway, that's aside the point. But yeah, these two individuals, their day's coming. Yeah.
So at some point, the utilities are turned off. Okay, so they have no air conditioning. The 15-year-old did have a phone. Now, why it took him from when they left, because it came out recently from the Houston Chronicle that Brian and Gloria lived there for a while. It's an undetermined time. How long that they actually stayed in the apartment before they took everything and went to another apartment. So they didn't have utilities. The 15-year-old, he did have a phone. Like I said, I don't know. He got to his breaking point, basically. So he finally figured out no one's going to come to this.
I don't, he had a phone. I just can't see him or her paying the damn phone bill. So I don't really understand that phone situation.
Well, I have it's government assistance.
Yeah, I don't know. You would think that a 15-year-old would run out of minutes quickly. You know what I mean? But It's unbelievable that the neighbors didn't intervene on this. This is because the smell. We were talking about that earlier. Would have been, I had that dead mouse in my house, and it was so bad, just a little mouse, and I can't imagine an 8-year-old body. Oh, that's
Right.
just.
Well, the neighbors, one in particular, she was giving them food. She was letting him charge the phone. But for whatever reason, she didn't ever call the police for a welfare check. On top of that, neighbors did complain of the smell, but there was no one looked into it. Hang on, what big eyes?
Hey.
Hello, my friend.
Hello.
I also think a lot of the reason the 15-year-old didn't call 911 is for fear of retribution from Brian, because they were coming by occasionally. She would basically drop off like ramen noodles and stuff like that. These kids were so malnourished. I'm going to show you a picture. It's going to make you so sick. And yeah, it is a Section 8. Yeah, Keandra, grab the link. I want to hear everybody's take on this. Okay, so I lost my train of thought. It's real. This case gets to be way too much. Way too much. So like I said, she was trying dropping off food here and there, but Brian would make his presence known enough to beat up on the kids. One of the children, I believe it's the 10-year-old, had surgery just last week. He had to have facial surgery. I'm going to assume a broken jaw. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
The 7-year-old.
Okay. And he had an infection.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if the 15-year-old finally called 911 out of the pain that his little brother was in.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, there were 2 of the children, it said, were on the autism spectrum. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which of the 2, that could be something there too with the 15-year-old. We just don't know. Oh.
Yeah, that's.
And they're really protecting the kids' privacy. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
I just cannot believe. Okay, 4 kids. That means there's 4 sets of grandparents out there at least.
Mm.
Or 8. Sorry, I'm doing the math wrong. Where's their fathers?
The father
Yeah.
of the boy that was killed, Kendrick Lee, he found out that Kendrick was dead on Facebook. He found out that this had happened to his son on Facebook.
Wow.
They did an interview with him. He hadn't been allowed any contact with the children by the mother. The mother had refused him any contact for the last few years. And when he found out about what happened to Kendrick, it was because he saw it on Facebook.
Hey,
Wow.
hey everybody.
And I think the father of the one boy had a different father, and I think he is not living. So basically, she'd managed to isolate the children from the family.
Yeah.
Well, with that abuse going on, of course.
Yep.
I can tell you something right now. If that was my kids, that wouldn't have happened on my watch. None of this. Because I'd have been checking in on them regularly. You know what I mean? Because people had to have known that these 2 individuals were pieces of shit from the get-go. You know?
I mean, on top of that, she got stimulus payments for 4 children back in the spring. She was buying Brian ear gauges, steak, wine, treating him like a king, while these 3 boys were sitting in an apartment without even a light to turn on and no food. And I mean, I understand people aren't blaming the neighbor, but I am. Grandma too, Dad too, apartment complex too. What do you think, Keandra? By the way, our friend Everyday Shenanigans is coming up.
Hey.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I blame the neighbor as well. I feel like the neighbor should have spoke up. The neighbor should have went in that house. Ain't no way I'm gonna give those kids noodles and not go inside and check.
It
If
wasn't
there's
just
no furniture, if there's no nothing, I'm calling the police.
it wasn't just one neighbour. There was several neighbours. One of them had been reporting the smell for the past 12 months and nothing was done about it. And the other one was giving them food and allowed him to charge his mobile phone because they
That's
had
what
no
I'm saying.
electricity.
Like, how can you smell that, see the
Right.
kids alone, not see not one adult, and not speak up? That doesn't make sense to me. I feel like those parents probably threw some cash at that neighbor and told him to check on the kids. The neighbor probably knew the situation the kids were in. I want to know what the neighbor's house looks like.
You know what? And I'll bet you money on this that they had CPS case on going before this happened. I'll
Well, I
bet
found out
you.
about that.
Yeah,
The
CPS knows
C-
about these people. They dropped the
Yeah.
ball again.
the CPS did have a previous history with them, and the mother
Yep.
was charged with failing to enrol her children in school in May
Yep.
2020. They hadn't been to school since then, but they
Yeah.
dropped the charges against the mother because of COVID. And the CPS said they had a previous history with the family, but they hadn't checked on them in the
What is
past
that
year.
noise?
Yeah, they said that man used to beat up on them kids all the time.
Yeah, he went into the house when after they'd left, the stepfather, whatever he is, piece of shit, went back and beat the boys on a regular basis.
Yeah, I don't know. That
Sick
man
as
just
that.
looks weird. That man,
Oh,
and I was gonna tell Kevin that teardrop, men want you to think they killed somebody. That teardrop represents homosexuality in jail.
Is that right?
Yes, that
Wow.
teardrop means he let somebody take it in jail, and that's why he got the teardrop.
Oh man. Well, you guys going to have a lot of teardrops that they put in general population.
Oh yeah.
he was
That's what
arrested
it
a few
really
months
means,
before.
though. Low key, that's what it really means. Nobody, like a lot of people will think somebody killed somebody. No, that's not the case. They can look tough, but they're not as tough as they think. That's why he beats up on kids.
Wow, I didn't know that. Thanks for telling me that.
No problem.
And last November, they
What is that noise?
I think it might be everyday shenanigans. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm listening.
Oh, okay. Are you in the car or something?
I am. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm on the interstate. Yes, sorry about that.
I had to get in, and I know we have a few other people backstage, so we're going to try to go one at a time. It gets
Okay.
too confusing.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's fine.
Does she have her windshield wipers on?
No, it's just
No.
the air blowing. I got the windows up, baby. It's cold here.
Yeah.
Brooks,
Oh.
I'm going to drop
If it's
Brooks.
distracting, I can come down. It's no problem.
Brooks, I'm going to drop off the stream because I've got an appointment soon, so I need to get ready. But I'll still be listening, and I'll let someone else come up.
Oh, thanks, honey. Thank you
No
for
problem.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.
I wanted to say last November on the 23rd, they were at a Chucky's truck stop in Luling, Texas. And he was arrested for PI, public intoxication. And she was in the car and there were no children. So that tells me those kids were in that situation already back then.
Yes, right. I agree.
Yeah. They used to leave those kids in the house all the time, I bet. They don't care about those kids.
They probably were left alone in May.
This is
Yeah.
so sad. This is so sad.
So what I read, and correct me if I'm wrong, in the Houston Chronicle, Brian and Gloria, so piece of shit 1 and piece of shit 2, moved out in March. So from March to October, those 3 boys were there living in fear, terror, immense anxiety, mental anguish, just waiting on them to show up for another beating and to drop off some Kool-Aid and
And some noodles.
Right.
That is so sad. They didn't even have a hot meal. Like, what?
Imagine a whole year that.
Yep.
And was this over a year they were in that apartment?
Yep. Since
How?
November of last year, and people did complain about the smell, but the landlord did nothing about it. There was no inspection done on that apartment. Now, mind you, they didn't know where it was coming from.
Yeah, that was a Section 8 apartment because they didn't, if the landlord didn't drop by for the rent, Section 8 was paying it.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my phone. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Talking messages. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're all right.
What is that?
The lady that was talking about the teardrop, I've never heard about that in prison. That's something new. I've never heard about that.
Yeah, you gotta ask somebody. I'm trying to tell you. He ain't as tough as he's not as tough as he might got those goals in his mouth that trained, but that don't mean nothing.
I've never heard about the teardrop and the homosexuality in prison. That's a new one. I've never heard that.
All right. So what I have on the
I just
screen,
the whole year.
There's no explaining this case. It's horrific. It's
not for a year. Not for a year. Let me tell you something. Even if you don't get in people's business, you can hear people coming in and out of their door. You can hear people talking. You can hear people talking on a cell phone. You understand what I'm saying? So for 1 year, when somebody was going in and out of that door, you didn't smell that smell coming out of there. This is bullshit. Excuse my language.
Yep, I agree.
Man, I don't care. When I see a kid, I just saw a kid the other day playing on the street, chasing cars as they drove. And I asked her, where does she live? Stay by her house. If I would have seen something like that or smelt something like that, I would have called the police. And I don't care about backlash. Y'all are wrong, period. There's no reason why your kids should have been at home for a day by themselves, let alone a year. Every month goes by and your kids are sitting in the house with not a chair, with not a pillow.
Yeah. So on the screen, if you see this, it says, okay, this is from his Instagram, Faux Productions. My wife cooked the spaghetti, and it is the best spaghetti I've ever had in my life. I couldn't stop eating it. There's nothing like a home-cooked meal with a lot of love in it. Thank you, Lord. It's a blessing. Family over everything. It's the movement and the brand. Thank you, wife. I love you. Meanwhile, those boys are in the apartment. No electricity. Probably no hot water.
That must have been some chicken spaghetti because I don't see no red sauce on that plate.
I don't know. I don't care what she made him. I think it's damn disgusting.
It looks nasty. I don't know. I just don't get it, man. I don't get it. You eat good, okay. You eat good, but those kids are sitting there. It looked like a ramen noodle spaghetti.
It's more than what they had.
Exactly.
More than what they had.
Right. Yeah, and he's got that big ass chain around his neck. They need to be choked with it.
Exactly. I was going to say, tie it up and choke them with it.
Yeah.
Just like what I said about social media, everything's an illusion because you don't know people. You see people post things every day. You don't know them. You don't know what they're about. You don't know. You didn't know those kids were in there starving like that while they're posting stuff on Instagram.
People will make it look so different than what it is on Facebook. Facebook is just another life. People can change and lie about anything in their life on social media.
Well, they're not even married, and he's calling her his wife. They're not married.
If that's your wife, you're supposed to treat them kids you're supposed to take them kids in as yours. If you treat them kids like that, you treat that wife just as bad.
She didn't care. She didn't call 911. She didn't report anything to the authorities.
He beat her too. He beat her too.
He got drunk, so you know he turned on her too.
Yeah.
The child said that when he got beer in him.
We lost Nurse Ratchet backstage, so she'll come back up. Let's see what Audie has to say. Audie's never been on panel before. Hey, Audie, welcome to the channel.
Hey, thanks. So, can you hear me okay? Because I'm kind of in a strange spot.
Yeah.
Is my sound good? Okay.
Yeah.
So, this has been bothering me all along regarding them having a second apartment. Because I'm assuming I've heard it mentioned that they were had Section 8 or HUD, so the housing authority is involved, and then it is unheard of that somebody can get a second apartment, 2 apartments, through Section 8, through HUD, assuming that either one of them were collecting it, and then not have the first apartment inspected before they moved into a second. So, there's so many people that have failed these children, but the fact they were able to keep 2 apartments that's mind blowing to me. Like, how, when that first happened, when they first moved out into another apartment, right then and there should have been red flags, and that other apartment should have been inspected. How they've had vouchers for 2 apartments is unheard of. I mean, the state.
I heard one was in her name and one was in his name. I heard one was in her name and one in his name.
Yeah, they both had a Section 8.
I mean, so, and again, I guess these are not obviously law-abiding citizens, so I'm sure they didn't report to Section 8 that they had each other living with each other, because that right there would have been a red flag. They would say, wait a second.
Section 8 doesn't care. All these women, I know a whole bunch of women on Section 8 that got their man living with them and should be checked in. Section 8 should do welfare checks. Because
there's
for one,
that's
majority of these women on Section 8 are working a full-time job and still not having to pay rent.
Yes, I know that there's a lot of maybe, however the system works in different places. And, but they housing authority should have been involved as well, though. There should have been,
They should have been doing
the check. They have to inspect. Yes, the monthly.
They do.
They have to inspect monthly. They have to treat. Just
they're supposed to have an inspection.
Term Yes,
they're supposed to check for.
I get
bugs. There's certain guidelines.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't think of it. Pest control. Like, these are things that are supposed to be done to make sure that.
Well, okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. The pest control. That's a very good point. Once a month, if it's an income guideline apartment, they come once a month. So that means she told them not to go in the apartment.
Yeah, that, or they don't care. Some Section 8 apartments look like a pigsty. You know what I mean? Some apartments don't care.
Apartments don't look bad to me. I'm not about to judge them. It's just a structure. But when it comes to inspecting pest control, they had to told them don't come in the apartment for various reasons, for them not to go. Because don't you think a pest control guy would go back in and say, "Hey, there's a dead kid in the room"?
No, but the reason so many people, so many authorities have failed these children. It's unbelievable. And I'm pretty sure, going back just real quick, because I heard this before, and then I'll jump down. I gotta that I think he has a tattoo on him. I think when I heard you guys talking about the one tattoo, what it says, I'm pretty sure I heard this. I could be wrong. I'll research it when I get down. But that it says family first. I think his tattoo says family first.
Good.
Which is just
we know that's a
lot. These are some of the most despicable humans to have walked the planet in a while. Like, they are just I get just tears in my eyes whenever this comes up. It's so
a mental issue with both of them. They're really
there's no well
something
person.
wrong with
them
both.
No well person.
Well, we've seen this.
He knocked that mom in the head too many times, because ain't no way there's no way she should have allowed anything to happen to her children. I don't care what man you're with. You don't allow a man to hurt your children. But that just says she allows him to hurt her.
But sadly, this happens every day. This isn't the first case of the child being abused by an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's
just haven't heard of a dead body in there.
Let's go through the money she was getting. Oh, we lost Audie. Hey, Audie, thanks for coming up. Trying to keep it as organized as possible because I want to hear from everybody. She was getting Social Security for each of the kids that tested for autism. Okay.
Okay.
Food stamps, Section 8. Then I think she was getting SSI for herself. She got a stimulus check, which was like $1,400, I believe, for herself. and the 4 children, even though Kendrick
And
was
you forgot,
dead.
she's still getting money right now up until December per child, $250.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yes. She's getting some mad money.
They do drugs. He looked like he do. Oh yeah, he said he do drugs.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the video saying, "I smoke mad weed. I do this. And I get drunk. You know, that's all they spend their money on."
Yep.
Mm-mm-mm.
The whole thing
Tragic.
is disturbing me to no end. So hang on, Okie Mama wants to come up and talk real quick.
Go ahead. I'll let somebody come up.
Hey, Okie Mama, you're up.
Hey, Brooks, am I too loud?
Little bit.
Okay, let me turn me down. Any better?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm here to call out Tulsa County CPS. I was in a Quick Trip located at 71st and Yale. I watched a father yank his autistic son up by the arm and beat him out the store. I get home. I call CPS. I let them know this was all on video in the store, and here's the tag number. They laugh at me and hang up on me twice. I'm a mandated reporter. I finally got them to take the report. Then they tell me I need to go make a police report with my name on it so that Daddy can find out who I am when he gets the police report. Hell no, I'm not doing their job for them. No, CPS is failing, okay? They laughed at me. Laughed, and I said, it's all on video. Go pull the video. They said, how do you know this child was autistic? I said, ma'am, I work with autistic children. I could tell by the way he was speaking. We were 5 foot away from the restroom. If he could yank him up by his arm, he could take him to the restroom. And all I said was, not in public, not in public. And they had the nerve to threaten me in front of cameras at Quick Trip. And then ran with the child, Fred. And CPS has done nothing and laughed at me.
Yeah.
And on that note, yeah, CPS is a failed system, but let's look at the main cause. Failed parents. Failed parents. CPS, the schools, the teachers, the principals. That is not where it's at. It's with the parents.
But ma'am, Brooks, can I say this?
Yeah.
These 2 parents were very well dressed, okay? And so was the child, okay? Very well dressed. Now, if the mama was in there, she had the nerve to come up to me at the checkout and try to explain to me that child deserved that beating. I said, if that child deserved that beating, you deserve prison right along with your husband. You're an idiot. Not in public. No.
It's not going to make him understand what's right and wrong in the first place. That's installing fear in him to even do something that's right. That people think that beating your child will make them understand right from wrong. No, that installs fear in them.
Right, this child could barely speak. Yes, he was fearful. Yes. And when that father yanked him up, I heard his arm crack. And the CPS had the nerve to say, well, why do you think that his arm was injured? Because I heard it crack. It turned me around. It cracked. I was at the fountain getting a drink. I turned around and heard the crack. That's when I turned around. They laughed at me. Laughed.
Let me ask you, I don't want the tag number. What kind of car were they driving? You said they were very well dressed.
It was a very nice white car. I think it might have been a Lexus or one of the nicer. I'm not a car person, but I did get the tag number. Yeah.
There's a lot of money in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
they would usually be like, no, you got it wrong. And that's wrong of them. They should have looked into it.
Ma'am, it's on video. I told them that. If you'll go pull the video, I told them exactly what time, what location, the address, everything. Go pull the video. They told me I had to go make a police report with my name on it so then he can FOIA request it, the father, and find out who I am and where I live. Hell no. I'm not that stupid. No, are they going to give me a CPS? Going to give me a check for doing all this work? Because by now, this child has probably been beat more now because I did that. See, that's the problem I have. I spoke out. I did the right thing. CPS dropped the ball. Now where's that child? So now they say, see something and say something. You know what I told CPS? I'll never say something to y'all again. Ever. Because now this poor baby is at home with those monsters and you do nothing. That's a problem.
Well,
Period.
I'm glad you reported it. I'm just sorry that they didn't do something.
Yes, ma'am. I'm a mandated reporter, and I will report it all. That next time I will call 911. I'm done with the CPS bull. Okay? Next time I will. That's it. I'm done with them. But that's all I had to say. Thank you, Brooks, for having me. Y'all have a great day. Hey, Queen, nice to see you. And whoa, what big eyes. And Kevin B, we can't live without you. Kendra, I just barely saw you, but you sound lovely. Have a great day, ladies.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, we got Nurse Ratchet wanting to tell us hi. Hey, what do you think about this case?
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Hey,
I promise
nerd.
I'm going to behave. But here it goes. I got so much shit to say about. Listen, I don't know where to start. First of all, somebody needs to string him up by his ball, period.
Yep.
Secondly, everybody's quick to blame Section 8 and CPS and whatever. People don't get involved anymore. Everybody
Nope.
wants to turn their back. And then after
Mhm.
something happens, then they want to say, oh, well, I witnessed this and I witnessed that. People need to get involved.
Well, for good reason. You just heard Okie 420 Mama on here. She's a mandated reporter, and they didn't even as much as send the police out there to get the tape.
I understand, but with social media now, it can be a killer. It can destroy people's lives. You just keep on, do what you got to do. Take it to Facebook, take it to the news, call the news and tell them about it because they love drama. See if you can FOIA request the video yourself from the gas station. I think you can, since it's a public, since they're recording you. I think you can FOIA request that. Do what you got to do. Make an ass out of yourself if that's what it takes, if it's about the safety of a kid.
Exactly.
People don't
And
get involved anymore.
nope, they sure don't.
Everybody wants to think, oh, well, I need to mind my own business. No, you don't.
Oh,
You don't
Lord.
know. Nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors.
They make that they normalize people have normalized keeping their mouth shut, turning their head. I'm going through a situation right now where that's involving the police and not one person helped me. Everybody turned their head and let it go on. Everybody walked right past me. You know what I mean? While I'm being, mistreated. And I stood ground. I would stand ground anytime. That's why I say, if the police don't do nothing in the city, if the news don't do nothing in the city, they're all connected. You know what I mean? They'll all turn their head. You got to speak. You got to use your voice. You know what I mean? You got to make them hear you.
And everybody has a cell phone now. Pull out your phone and
Oh yeah, everything.
Pull out your
I
phone,
record everything.
If they walked into that baby's home and saw the lights were off and had no by himself, first of all, I don't understand why they didn't do something right then and there. Take that baby to your house.
Mm-hmm.
Call the police. Tell them what's going on. Do something. But
this is what I don't get. This is what I don't get. I'm not going to go over there and give them noodles. I'm going to invite them. Oh, I'm going to bring them kids to my house, make sure they're warm, give them a pillow, put them in the bathroom, give them some food and have the police show up and take care of the situation. I'm not going to keep going over to that house and giving them noodles and smelling that smell. I'm going to make sure them kids are out that house, shut that door, and it's going from there.
Now he was coming to her house to charge his phone, and she would give him something to eat. She never went in the house, but I'm wanting to know, why were there no question marks? We see a 15-year-old coming in and coming out, but we don't ever see a mom. We don't ever see a dad. They didn't even know about the other kids. She just didn't ask the right questions. But at some point, I'm just wondering why nobody asked for a welfare check. And part of it is they don't want anyone in their business either, too. They don't want to get involved.
Well, that's what I was saying. People don't want to get involved anymore, and things like this happen, and it happens on a daily basis. Everybody is so quick to just turn their back and say, "Well, I'm just minding my business and going about my way," and then, want to say something after the fact.
That's why everything's going downhill. Everything's going downhill in this world because nobody speaks up. Nobody asks questions. Nobody wants to help. That's the thing. We're all in this world to help each other. That's why we don't get nowhere. Because don't nobody.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, like, nobody wants to do nothing. Like, everybody is worried about, oh, if I say something, they're going to come knock on my door. You know what I mean? Like, if I say something, they're going to involve me. Well, if you say something, that means you care. So you shouldn't care if they involve you. You know what I mean? It's just very sad. This world is really going to shit.
A killer now. If the police don't want to get involved, go to their website. Go on Facebook to their Facebook page. Blast it on there. I bet you something gets done then. Exactly. Call the mayor's office. Do what you got to do. It's going to help a kid that's being abused. Step up.
Amen.
Step up. But I just, first of all, I don't understand the whole smell thing. A dead body, that is a smell. Oh my God.
Okay, and not to be too gruesome, but you're a nurse. How long does that smell go on?
Oh my God, it goes on and on. It never stops until the body's taken out. Because after a while, the body begins to bloat.
Yep.
And then fluids start leaking. And I'm not trying to be gross. I'm just telling it like it is. After it bloats, then the gastric fluids start leaking out of every orifice they have. And then the body can burst open. It can. That smell, you're constantly decaying. Well, then the flies come in. Then the maggots come in. It doesn't stop. That's another thing I don't understand. There had to have been flies and maggots in there. It had to have been.
Those parents are murderers, and those other kids may have still been alive, but low key, deep down, they were murdered because they now have to live their life in turmoil. Like they're gonna be sick for the rest of their life thinking about this. Like, why would you put those kids through that? Why would you do this? Like, this is stupid.
They could be physically ill from smelling that decaying.
Exactly.
Because it leaks out gases into the air. Gastric gases that you are not supposed to be breathing in. So the smell, it doesn't go away until the body is removed. And then it lingers for quite some time. And it very strong. A lot of people in that building, I promise you could smell it.
That's what I want to know. How could nobody, now I know people said they reported a smell and nothing was investigated. Kevin, you were talking about you had a mouse in your house.
Yeah, I had, just a sec. I had a mouse. It got in the furnace and it was down by the furnace filter. But anyway, we were running I turned my AC on and you cannot imagine how bad it stunk. Just a little teeny field mouse.
Yeah, I know what that smells like.
Yeah, it is so gross. I cannot even imagine an 8-year-old body.
Exactly.
I mean, when I tell you have no idea, and I don't want you to have any idea. I don't want anybody to ever smell that smell because it's something that you, in a sense, you always kind of smell it. It's always kind of there. And then when something happens, you smell that smell, you know what it is.
Yeah, you hold the mouse up to an 8-year-old body and look at the size difference. I also know somebody that had a squirrel die in the wall somewhere. They had to tear the drywall out to find it. It was so bad. I just can't imagine that inside that apartment had to be like diseases, every kind you could imagine.
Well, like I
Okay,
said,
so
it brings in flies and maggots. The flies and the
when
maggots start.
when he put that baby in the closet or wherever that baby was dead, did he think it was over? Did he think that it what like did he think he did something like what was the like you didn't take the body nowhere, you just put it in the closet and left. So you just didn't think nothing of it after that body was there. Like what were you thinking? How can you live knowing there's a dead child? Like I just don't understand what he was thinking. Because
How
it's
long
not
was
over.
the
Now
baby in the
someone's gonna.
closet? How long was
Oh
that dead
Lord.
body in there?
From November last year, November of 2020, up until October 24th of this year, I believe. Not
Oh
only did
my
he not just
God.
put him in the closet, him and Gloria lived there with the 3 boys that survived his wrath. They lived there up until March. Then those 2 packed up all their stuff, moved out, and left them there alone. So let's talk about the mental anguish that these
Oh my God.
children will deal with till the rest of their life. There will not be a day that they're not going to relive their brother being beaten to death in front of them and abandoned to fend for themselves.
Mm-mm.
I hope they don't split them kids up because they were all they had for that year, and
Yeah.
and they did not leave each other's side.
Sadly,
And
they
they,
probably will split them up. I hope they don't, but I mean, look at the Wells boys.
I
They split
know,
them up, you know. It's sad that they do that. And yeah, I know everybody says, well, foster care will be better than what they were living in. Foster care
no,
could be just as bad.
yep,
Oh
it
God,
sure
the poor
can.
babies. Oh my, people get involved, please. That's all I can. That I'm not trying to sound like Mary Poppins or Mother Teresa.
No, you
Even if,
are right. You're
even if it's
right.
one person a day, you don't know what
Yeah,
somebody is going through.
exactly.
So just even if it's one person a day, let them know if you need to talk, I'm here.
I told
You
this
don't
girl
know.
yesterday. I went to the store. She was walking down the street crying. The moment I stepped out the car, I said, "What's wrong?" She shook her head, nothing. I go behind her in the store. I said, "I just want you to know that there are people out here that care. You
Yep,
can talk to me and there's people that care. Everyone might not care and will walk past you, but there are people that care. I don't care how anybody feels about me speaking up. I will always do that because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to
absolutely.
help people. And and
Absolutely.
and so you don't feel like you're Mary Poppins or something. That is real. That is right. You don't just let kids, anybody, elderly, anybody. It don't matter what age you are. You be there for people. You know what I mean? You don't look for nothing in return because God will bless you regardless. You just continue to be, somebody to this world. You're not invisible. A lot of people feel invisible, like they don't have nobody. You know what I mean? That's when
Absolutely. Yeah. All too
you
well.
got you got to step up. That's when you'll feel so much better about your own situation. You could give somebody your last. This is just how I live my life. I could give somebody my last and still feel rich because
Well,
I did it.
as for me, I don't care how it makes me feel. It's about helping someone else.
Exactly.
You've got to pay attention. You've got to step up, take it to social media, pull out your phone, record, do what you've got to do. Report if you have to. If you know something or sense something is going on, because we are giving intuition for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
If your gut tells you something isn't right, make that call.
Exactly. And just look it just be there. It's just sad that these kids are continuously going through all this stuff because of these parents. And I don't have any kids and I'm just like, man, I wish I could save some kids. I know someone right now that if they don't want their child, I will help them. Like I have some friends that I will step in and help anytime I see them frustrated. You know what I mean? Anytime I see them, And I'll tell them, you need to chill out. Like, don't talk to your child like that. Like, take a few minutes, seconds. Give me your baby. Step out for a minute. Like, I can't stand for a parent to be frustrated and just go straight to the child to take it out on them. You know, I went through that growing up. You know, I'm not gonna watch a kid be disrespected, because at the end of the day, yeah, you honor your child, your father and your mother, but you also don't provoke your child.
Well, I do want to tell each and every one of you this, and I'll let y'all go so I don't get on the soapbox. But I'm not sure if you guys know this. If you think something like that is going on, and the police department or CPS or whoever doesn't want to listen, go to your nearest ER. Tell any nurse. I promise you, we don't take that shit lightly. And we will get on the ball.
Let me ask you something before you leave.
Then go to the fire department. Tell one of the firemen. They don't take that lightly. They will get on the ball.
Let me ask you something real quick, and that's great information. So remember, there's other resources. If you're not getting, that's not something that everybody would know. We don't live in that world. You know what I mean? We don't live in that world. All we know is 911 and CPS. And CPS a lot of times won't take a report if you don't even know the kid's name. They're disgusting. Right. They're disgusting. They don't, I mean, yes, they are. There's good ones. I know there's good ones, but you know, it's a bureaucracy that needs to be redone. Let me ask you this.
Their hands are tied a lot of times. So yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So the 7-year-old, I thought it was the 10-year-old. Kat said it was a 7-year-old. Okay. I guess from what I understand, he had a broken jaw that developed into an infection. Now, what in the hell could have happened to him had that gone untreated? And I mean,
killed him.
Could have killed him.
Would have gone. That being close to his brain, the infection would have traveled to his brain and killed him.
They're gonna have to put that man in a cell somewhere by himself, because if he goes to prison, when he goes to prison, they're gonna drag him, and they're gonna drag her too, because you do not do children like that. You broke his jaw. Just imagine what's gonna happen to you, man. Just imagine.
Brooks, what happens with infection? If it's untreated, it can turn into gangrene. It can cause your body.
In his face.
Yeah, but it can cause it. Look, when you have infection, it can travel anywhere. It can travel to your heart. It can travel to your brain. It can go wherever it wants. Think how fast your blood flows. So it can cause your body to go septic, which means your entire body is infected. It could have easily killed him with an infection like that gone untreated. Especially being
I wish he would have. Oh man, it's like I wish one of them would have just ran out the house and just ran and asked for help, because they were just scared. They didn't want to leave that house.
Of course they were scared. He was taking turns beating them. They were sitting there waiting on food. Finally, the 15-year-old got to his breaking point, from what I read, and called 911. And the thing is, even at 15, he's still a child. He doesn't know what's going to happen when he calls the authorities. They could have not shown up. They could have just called his mother. And I mean, Brian could have come back and killed all of them. So he did a very, very brave thing. Hey, Nurse Ratchet, thanks for coming on. I'm going to drop you out. We got a few more people wanting to come in.
Good day.
See you in Discord. The whole thing makes me so sick. Hey, Everyday Shenanigans, if you're still in here, the link still works. Outlaw Trucker wants to say something. Hey, Outlaw Trucker.
Hey, Brooks, how you doing?
Pretty good, my friend.
To get back on the lady that, where she was going at, and yeah, way the public view shows and sees that, I will back her up on her statement that a lot of the cops have canceled us out and forced us to stay to ourselves, don't say anything, just to take on life as we see it. But like on the news, you can report it to the news, but the bosses, they will say if it's important, they'll run it. But if it ain't, they're just going to sweep it under the rug and ignore it and go on. But where CPS, I used to work with CPS, and back in the day, back in, I think it was around mid 80s, they were doing everything fine. But until times changed in the 89s on up, they just started canceling out. Oh, we'll look into it type attitude. And next thing you know, the kids fell through the system and got killed. But like I said, this dude, he put a mental block and scaring and fearing these kids and the wife to where they tried to do something. They were afraid that, oh man, I might be getting killed. And that's the reason why a lot of people stand down, because he might went on a rampage and killed some of the neighbors and all that. It's just it's disgusting how things are out here today.
It is. And Houston is a very rough area, not going to lie. Okie was talking about Tulsa. Tulsa is a rough area, not going to lie, but that's no excuse to turn your head. What's more important than our children? They can't defend themselves. What big eyes? What do you, I was going to ask you.
Okay.
So,
go ahead.
This is a lot to take in, I know. Okay, so, I mean, Texas is a death penalty state.
Yes.
Odds are Brian's going to get the death penalty. Now, when he went into court, he was acting confused, asking questions like he didn't understand. What are the odds in Texas that he can plead insanity?
Well, he'll have to go through an evaluation process, and he won't like it because they'll institutionalize him and get him revved up to where he can face trial. You know, being insane is no excuse. So that doesn't work. But they were reading him the information there when he was being arraigned on this charge. And it was like he had to say he understood that the penalty for this type of murder could be from 5 years to 99 years. So they didn't even mention any aggravating circumstance yet, because they have to prove that to ask for the death penalty. So it's not over with, because they did say could be more charges coming in the future for both of them.
Oh, I hope. And I hope they rack them up.
We just have to
rack them and stack them.
We just have to let them work the process, because they don't want something to get thrown out because of insufficient evidence.
Now, it really surprised me that they went and they talked to Gloria and Brian, POS 1 and 2, on Sunday after they received the phone call. And I don't care who you are, seeing that sheriff, he's a sheriff of Harris County, he has been at some of the most gruesome crime scenes. For him to explain it as disturbing, grotesque, horrific, he was bothered. His deputies, his officers were all extremely bothered. A judge recused himself because he couldn't take listening to it. That tells you what's in that folder is bad, bad, bad.
Yes, and like he said in one of his interviews, he said, you know, people were getting on him because they didn't arrest the people immediately, but they had to gather enough for what they did charge them with before they arrested them. They couldn't just said, you know, I'm jerking you up and you're going. They had to have stuff to back the charges. So I know they're going to do what's right by these children and that little boy that was murdered.
Absolutely. Those brothers saved their brother, and the 15-year-old saved these younger brothers, because from what I read, correct me if I'm wrong, that it was the brothers' testimony, what they told the police, and they told the forensic child psychologist, that made the arrest on Tuesday or Wednesday after they were found on Sunday.
Right.
I have one.
Go ahead,
Kevin.
You can bet they're going to get the death penalty. You can bet on that, because they're just, and that's not even in my opinion, that's not even a good enough sentence. In my opinion, You know, they just need to throw them out in general population for a couple of days.
Yes, they do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
will they just let the prisoners take care of business?
And this is what I don't get. So they don't have any other family members that miss their nephews or miss their grandkids or miss their
Yeah,
cousins.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everybody dropped the ball on these kids. Everyone. It's just, it is. It just goes to show you nowadays people don't give a damn. Just like the war.
I
Yeah.
did read an article in the Daily Mail. It was one of the grandmothers. She said that Gloria did live with her with the kids for a while. She basically told Gloria she had to go. And of course, she took the kids with her. She said, had she known, then they would have all stayed with her. Okay, that's all well and good. But you mean
How can you not?
the
How can
grandparents
you?
last year weren't worried where the kids were, what they were
Yeah,
doing?
how can you go 11 months without seeing your grandkids and not think something's up? Come on.
And I'm pretty sure there were signs when she lived with her mom. But at the same time, she was taught from her mom. So you don't know what the mom went through with her mom. Like she probably lets shit slide, like whoopings and beating the kids and not feeding the kids and, just taking
Right.
advantage of the funds and money. The grandma was probably just there so she can get a little bit of change. You never know, because some of these grandmothers, they want they want a piece of what the mom got. They don't have income, so they see the mom got all these incomes, and yeah, I'll keep the child. Just give me one of them checks. It's just a lot of people have just turned their heads, period, on the kids, and just think about money. They don't care about the kids. They just want the kids to get out their face and go play the game or go watch the TV. And it's just sad. That's why I say people just need to start speaking up. I'm about to get off here too, Brooks. Thank you for having me up here.
All right,
But
honey, give me a call later. We got Deb back. We got Deb on here too. I'm going to unmute her and see what she thinks
okay.
about this. Bye, hun.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Deb.
Hey, how are you?
So what are you thinking about this?
I think it's disgusting, obviously. I think here in Canada, I think CPS goes and checks out situations that are not that important, and they're just so busy here. I don't know how it is in the United States, but
Same.
here in Canada, they're just so busy that they go to stupid things, okay, and they won't go to something important like this, and I just don't get it. And the other thing is, when I had my kids and they were little and I didn't have enough food, I swear I would have gone without as long as my kids had food.
But she's feeding that piece of shit steak, spaghetti, wine, getting his ears gauged and everything with the stimulus money from the children, one who happened to be deceased because he murdered him.
Yep.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I don't know how it is in the United States again. In Canada, we did get money when, we couldn't work because of COVID. But the stimulus, we had to pay a lot of taxes back. Do you have to pay taxes back on the stimulus check?
No.
Okay. See, here in Canada, we have to pay taxes back. So everybody thinks they're getting off great with this, I think we had, I don't know, I never collected it, but I think it was something thereabouts of $2,000 a month, okay? So, that's quite a lot of money, right?
Well, she wasn't unemployed. She never had a job. That's not going to affect her.
Okay, well here if you weren't unemployed, you couldn't receive it. You couldn't collect it. So, but if you did collect it, you're probably going to have to pay half of it back to the government. So what I'm trying to say is, I don't know. I thought stimulus worked this, but I guess not. So that's what I was trying to say about that. And the one other thing, and then you can get somebody else up here because I guess a lot of other people want to talk. But
it's okay.
I used to babysit kids after school. I used to help them with their homework. And I had one little boy, and this little boy kept coming to play with the little boy that I babysat. And I was like, okay, well, and one day I asked him, I said, well, does your babysitter, I think the second day, does your parents know where you are? You know, it was my first question. No, they're not home. I said, okay, well, what about your babysitter? He's 9, right? I don't think 9 is old enough to take care of yourself.
No.
What about your babysitter? Oh, I don't have one. So I'm thinking he's all alone, this poor kid. So I gave him my number when he left that day. And I said, give this to your parents and tell them to call me tonight. So I told them, look, if you don't have anybody, I'll take him for free. I'll help him with his homework, you know, and everything else. And you guys pick him up when you're done work. They took advantage of that, which was fine. I didn't care. But I did all of his homework. If he was sick at school, they called me. I went to parent-teacher interviews for him. And we fed him, which I honestly, I don't regret at all, and I would do in a heartbeat again. But I'm just saying, they would come back at around 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night. This poor kid is still at my house.
Mm.
And, they weren't paying me anything. What's that?
I said, lucky he had you.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's just something normal you would do, which is why I don't get these neighbors. I'm not saying this to get like awards or kudos, yay, Deb, you're great. I'm just saying, like, what about these neighbors giving them food, charging their phone? They're not asking any questions.
Exactly. I can remember when I was young and growing up, and people cared about each other more. Neighbors looked after neighbors and looked after the kids, and they would even correct other people's children, if they saw them misbehaving. So I don't know. It's just way far out what's happened to the society as a whole.
It is. It's disgusting.
I never called CPS on those parents because I knew the little boy would be. I mean, I got to know him pretty well, and I knew he would be broken. I didn't want that, because he had me anyway, so he wasn't alone. And I told him anytime, day, night, Saturday, Sunday, I don't care. You're alone. Come on over.
Yeah.
So, and I remember when I used to feed him, because I don't know how much they fed this kid, but when I used to give him food, he would like eat it so fast that one time he even threw it up.
Oh, bless his heart.
Yeah, poor kid. But he had migraines. I used to rub his head, and I mean, he was just a really good kid. I wasn't gonna call CPS because I had a handle, right? But and he was the only young one at home. But I'm just saying that, what is wrong with these neighbors? If somebody was coming to say, I'm really hungry and my brothers and sisters are hungry, can we have some food? I would have said, come on over. I would have said, where are your parents? I would have asked questions.
Mm-hmm.
Can I charge my phone at your house? Sure. And
But
then once you were
why?
there.
But why? Why do you not have electricity? What's going
Yeah,
on?
but
I would have at least told the landlord. I would at least told the landlord they don't have any electricity over there.
Well,
maybe they did. I don't know.
I don't think they did if you had to go charge his phone elsewhere.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying maybe they did tell the landlord. I don't know. I just think it's absolutely crazy that this went undetected for this long. This long. I don't get
It's disgusting.
I don't know what the codes are in Houston for that, but if you don't have electricity, a lot of places will not let you live there.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have electricity and running water. I don't know. It's just so bizarre, the whole thing.
I just cannot see how these boys slipped through the cracks when there's so many red flags. A child that hasn't been seen in almost a year. 3 malnourished children, no electricity, no adults anywhere around, no electricity, not to mention the smell.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't, and I guess they were paying the rent because the landlord,
They were on Section 8. There was no money exchanged.
Okay. So it's like here it's housing help or something like that. But it's different here. But okay, I get it now. Section 8. I didn't know what it was. But I mean, usually, like where I live, I rent. It's a house. But if we lost, like if they cut the electricity off, they will call the owner and say, "Hey, this house you rent, they don't have electricity anymore." And the owner would probably come over and say, "Hey, what's going on?" You know?
Yep.
Because it gets cold in Canada in the winter, and oh, I'm so French. The the where the water runs in, they'll freeze.
Yeah.
Right.
The water pipes.
I'm sorry, but I'm in Quebec, so I speak French, and sometimes I forget the word. But you know what I mean.
Yes.
The pipes. There you go. The pipes will freeze if you don't have heat.
Yep.
Or if you don't have electricity and everything else. So they'll go tell the owner. But I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, even if I was living in that kind of situation, which I have nothing against anybody that does, if they have to, they have to.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and that's
take care of your kids.
That's not. I mean, that's I see what you're saying about that, and I'm thinking about over the summer with no utilities, that there wasn't something somewhere going. They have no air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Someone not check. It gets well into the hundreds in Houston, because I know it does here. It's a brutal heat.
Yeah, and I think they were like on the top floor too, so there wasn't an insulation, you know.
Wouldn't that like affect the smell? I wonder if Nurse Ratchet can answer in chat. Wouldn't that affect the smell of the little boy that was deceased?
Yes, it would.
I mean, I can't. I just can't. I can't with the situation.
No.
It's disgusting. And if they were getting food, like we don't get food stamps here. We don't. I know you do there, and it's kind of a good situation because at least you can. I don't think you can get alcohol or cigarettes, right, with food stamps.
No.
Right. So I think it's a good idea. Like I think we should have it here, because here you just get money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like on social welfare, it's called here. But they check you out, and trust me, they check you out. And I don't know. They'll blame COVID. Probably just me said, yeah.
Of course they will.
I agree. Sorry, I'm addressing comments in chat, but they'll blame COVID. But they still can't blame COVID. You can't. You can't blame COVID for something like that. It's like I really hope, and everybody said in the chat, death is too good for them. They need to go to jail. They need to get the shit beaten out of them. Excuse my language.
You're fine.
They need to get the crap shit beat out of them, and they need to they need to be like, because the guards will give them empty trays. That's what they do in jail to child abusers. They give them empty trays instead of food.
Yeah.
Like they can't stand them, and they do turn a blind eye. So I don't think death is good enough for these people. Like they're just, I don't know. They're just, it's beyond me. But I think CPS drops the ball on many big situations for stupid little situations. That's my point.
Yeah. Well, really here, the death penalty, it takes forever for someone to be executed because they get so many chances for appeals, and it drags on, and it's nothing for it to go on for like 30 years. So
yeah, and then they're on death row, so they're not. It's almost like being in solitary, right?
Yeah, they get better protection. Yeah.
And here we don't have the death penalty at all. So I don't know. It's different. The laws are different in Quebec, and in Canada, and in.
Well, my solution to the death penalty would be like the movie Happy On. where they take them out in the middle of the ocean on a little deserted island that there's no way you could
Devil's
swim,
Island.
or and put them on there and just let them fend for themselves. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
throw
Yeah.
sacks of corn out there and let them try to grow it, and just let them fight amongst each other. You know,
Yeah.
that's what they should do with people. Just leave their ass out there.
I mean, he Papillon actually escaped, but I mean that's besides the point. I get
Yeah,
what you're saying.
I know, but you know what I'm talking about with that movie. They,
Oh hell yeah, Devil's
yeah,
Island.
that's what needs to be done.
Yeah, it's closed down now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Devil's Island is closed now. It's like the jail is closed now.
Yeah,
It's like you can go visit it now. But not
right.
that I would want to, but yeah.
Or just put them in general population. I think that would solve the problem.
Yeah.
I just think
Quit
it's
protecting them.
I can't. I mean, I understand people saying in the chat too that the neighbors don't want CPS up in their shit. But why would CPS get up in their shit when they've got all this going on in that one apartment? I think they would be more worried about that one apartment than the neighbors. Then they might ask the neighbors for dispositions or depositions or something like, you know,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're what they saw. Yeah, Ben. Sometimes life in prison is worse than death. Yes.
Well, this story
Anyways,
is
that's
absolutely horrific. But I appreciate you coming up, Deb. I'll see you in Discord.
for sure. Ciao.
For sure.
Okay, bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Deb. See you later.
Thanks.
Wow, what a great panel we had today. Let's see if anybody else wants to grab the link. There was a bunch of people backstage, and I apologize I couldn't get to everybody. Just I wanted everybody to have a turn. This is a really rough case.
Yes.
Yep. Terrible.
Not many cases, stories, whatever, like basically give me nightmares. And I haven't been able to get this out of my head in a week. And that's with everything else rolling around in my head. So that's scary.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I
It's
just
a
can't
damn
imagine.
shame.
I just can't imagine what those children went through. I just can't.
No. No, there's no imagining it. And it's bad enough what happened in the house, what they witnessed, what led up to it. Because I can't find how long Gloria and Brian had been together before these beatings started on the children. So
Well,
let's just say November was the first time, okay? So the children witnessed that. Then we have the horrific smell. They're abandoned. And they're left by themselves, with the exception of them coming to visit to drop off ramen noodles and beat them again, until finally, and now they're in a totally different environment that they don't even understand.
well, I heard like they'd been together about 2 years.
Oh, so it's been going on for, oh my God.
Yeah. And
Yeah, that's even worse.
I was hoping she just met him.
No, they had been together some time. So no telling how long that he had been beating on those children, and it just got progressively worse. You know how they escalate when you have someone like that, their violence. It's just
And against a child, I don't care if we're talking about mental illness, their own upbringing, any of it. I don't care, drugs, alcohol, you name it. I'm never, ever, ever going to understand it.
no. And there's so many, they just don't know how to parent. And a lot of it is the way they were raised. That's how that's all they know. So if they had that kind of childhood, that's normal to them.
That it's like you said before, that's their normal.
Yeah.
Well, that's not my normal. It's not anyone on panels normal, not anyone in chat, not anyone in our community that we can even fathom that normal.
Yeah, you know, when my kids were growing up, before I corrected them, I always counted to 10. And then a lot of times it would tickle me at what they had done. And they wouldn't get as bad of trouble as if I'd have just jumped right on. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If you just sit back and look at the situation for a minute. But people don't do that nowadays, especially the people. They're in the drug community stuff and they're on drugs. They just strike out.
They do. They're disgusting. And this is one of the worst cases I've ever read. I'm really surprised it hit the mainstream media the way it did, that they're running with it and they're reporting it like nationwide the way they are.
Yep.
Yeah, Muscles and Mascara, come on up.
I like that name. That's funny.
It is. Angela's right. When something like this happens, you want to hug your kids a little tighter.
Exactly.
CPS dropped the ball during lockdown and they need to be held accountable as well. Well, I've been waiting for that day, and I really thought the crackdown was going to be after Gabriel Fernandez, and I gave up after that. Then I thought it was going to happen after little AJ in Illinois.
Yep.
CPS failed him horribly. So, that's going to take an act of Congress, literally. I'm not just using that as a metaphor. Literally, to change that system. It is so wrapped in government and red tape. Some of those social workers can't even do their jobs correctly.
Exactly.
So the link's up if anybody wants to come up and talk. Oh, here we go. It's Jessica. Hello, Jessica. Haven't seen you in a while, unless I missed
Hello.
you. How's everything going?
Good. How are you guys?
Pretty good.
Good.
Hey,
Good.
Jessica.
Hey, I don't get to catch you all very often live. I'm back on site pretty much full time, so I don't get to hop on. I get to watch the replays, but just wanted to say hi to you guys first of all. And this case. Wow.
They make Dawn and
it's hard to
Candace
even
look
put in-
like the Leave It to Beaver family.
Yeah.
They really do, and that is so sad. But it's really hard to sit back and fathom what goes through people's minds during to even do something like this to kids, because I understand people grow up with rough lives and that kind of thing, and I get it. But whatever happened to the American way of growing up and creating your own narrative and your own reality and breaking the cycle? Like now it's just, well, I can't help it because that's how I grew up, and that's the biggest bullshit excuse that's ever been known to mankind. Sorry for my language, but that's just ridiculous. And I don't understand what's happened to the society that we're just like, oh, okay, that's fine. Just, you had a rough life and you just should choose to have a rough life too. And you should choose to beat your children like you were beaten. Go back and think about what it was like when you were growing up. Did you enjoy that? And if you didn't, why would you want to even? And I get sometimes, there's issues that are passed on, because that's all you've known. But my own father grew up a really rough life, but my father would never. Yeah, my dad would bust our ass when we deserved to have our ass busted. And that's the way I've raised my kid. But, because there also needs to be the fear of if I do something wrong, I'm going to have to pay for it, but not having to beat your children either. It's called discipline, not abuse. And I don't know. I just don't understand it. There's, you have the ability to break it, but you choose to turn your idea, you choose just to go down the wrong path. It's really frustrating.
I think as a society, a lot of people are so afraid of the backlash. I mean, we see what goes on online. Some people are, you can't even speak your own opinion without someone looking up your address and calling your employer. So particularly when it comes to what goes on in someone's home, I think they're truly worried of the backlash. And that's got to quit. It's got to be anonymous, because these CPS workers can actually tell people who called, and that's got to change.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's really sad. It's really sad that it gets to that, and you have to hide to try to discipline your child to be a human being in society, a decent human being in society. It's really, that's so hard. I mean, and it's like, well, how do you win, but I don't know. It's just very sad that anybody would put a kid through that. I can't even imagine, and how you go about your life like it was no big deal. And, it's just awful. I mean, I literally about threw up when I read about this case for the first time. And I was like, I can't even get involved in that case. And then I saw you all were doing it this morning. I was like, well, I have to now.
Here we go. Here we go down. I mean,
yes.
And it's one of those cases, there's no arguments or theories. It's one of those that we all have a drop jaw going, how? Yes. I mean, besides the fact what a monster Brian and Gloria are, everything from the smell to the utilities to the neighbors to not being in school, which I heard they were homeschooled, and I don't know how the hell that was going on, because you still have to report in. I don't get it. And Outlaw Trucker has a good point. In this society of cancel culture, people keep to themselves.
Yeah. But they were pulled out of school in May of last year. So why was there no accountability for that? I mean, some of my grandchildren are homeschooled, but they have to do reporting and they have to go online, and I don't understand now. How could that be?
I don't get it either. I don't get it. Because back in my day, unless you had a doctor's note, if you were out of school for a while, you got a letter from the superintendent. So when our children are falling through the cracks so horrifically, something's got to change. Hang on, Pat wants to tell us hi. We haven't heard from her in a while. Hi, Pat.
Hi there. How you doing?
Pretty good. What are your thoughts on this case?
I just wanted to say one thing. I want to know who those effing neighbors are. Like, come on.
I agree.
A break. I know the CPS or whatever they're called, child services. They can only be there if someone says something. Like, I'm just beside myself. Like, the people that live next door to them, why didn't they do something? Are all the people in the building like drug addicts or something? I don't believe that. There's a lot of good people.
Let me see if I can find the interview with the neighbor. I really didn't want to bring her into it as much. I don't know her thought process on this, because what she said to me didn't really, it didn't ring my bell. Let me put it that way. Hang on.
Well, and while you're looking for that, the other part of that is I think, and I dropped it in chat, that all these people talking about, well, they were probably worried about CPS investigating them. Well, I bet you CPS has got their butt investigating everybody anyway at this point after what's taken place there. So, did you really, and I don't know, what kind of human being are you if you worry about yourself in the situation those kids are in? So I'll just say that.
Yeah, in my opinion, CPS dropped the ball big time on these people. Big time. And but the thing of it is, if nobody's reporting nothing, then how do they know? You know what I mean?
Well, they wouldn't know. They wouldn't know. CPS, I know people are saying CPS dropped the ball, but there wasn't an open case.
Yeah.
Right, but they did have history with CPS though, right?
Right, but once the case is closed, they can't harass the family and keep coming back. Now, had someone called CPS during this time, it'd be a different story. Hang on, here's the video. And no, I'm not defending CPS.
A disturbing story out of West Harris County. 3 children found abandoned and living alongside the skeletal remains of another child, likely their dead sibling. Evening to you, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Lynn Cannon. Harris County Sheriff Gonzalez says he has never encountered a case like this. 3 boys, ages 15, 7, and 10, living in an apartment along with skeletal remains.
Authorities now trying to ID those remains, but they believe it is the boy's 9-year-old brother. The children were living at an apartment complex located on Green Crest Drive at West Park Drive. Zach Calatari is live there tonight. Zach?
Mia and Len, I spoke to a neighbor named Erica Chapman. She described a living situation where she thought something might be a little off, but the 15-year-old boy, she knew she didn't want him to go hungry, but she had no idea what was going on behind that apartment door. A children's playground.
He was sleeping on the side.
Chapman says she first met the 15-year-old boy who we're told called 911, claiming he and his siblings had been living with the remains of their brother in the room next to his.
And I asked him if he was hungry, and he said, yeah, and I brought him out some food and some drinks.
Harris County deputies discovered that 15-year-old boy along with a 7- and 10-year-old boy, and tragically, the remains of another young child.
Honestly, I'm disgusted, because if I knew something was wrong with any of those kids, I would have took all of them.
According to the Harris County Sheriff's Office, the mother of the boys and her boyfriend were brought in for questioning but released. Child Protective Services sent us this statement that says, in part, the agency is seeking emergency custody of the 3 boys.
Oh, he wouldn't talk about his parents.
Erica says she didn't want to push the boy too hard with questions, hoping he would open up to her.
Because I did not want him not to come to me for food. If you're that hungry, I want him to keep coming to me. At least I know he was eating.
She says she has a message for that 15-year-old boy.
That I love him and I would take him and his brothers.
Done.
And that he needs to keep his head up. This ain't his fault.
Now, the Harris County Sheriff's Department says that they're looking for more information. The medical examiner's finding will be an important part of that. Mia?
So many questions needing answers.
Well, that's her explanation. She was afraid that if she pressured him too much, but, you know, I'm sure she lives with plenty of regrets. I don't want to throw too much at her. And this woman's being harassed like you wouldn't believe because people know what she looks like, where she lives, and her name.
What about the other people that smelled? It looks like a really nice complex. I haven't seen that clip before.
Several people called and they complained about the smell. There were people that filed maintenance reports saying they couldn't use their air conditioner because of the smell and because of flies coming into their apartment.
How gross.
So the people that own the building, they need to be investigated.
They're going to be in trouble. Mark my words. With all of those maintenance reports, because you know someone smelled it. You know they did.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no way around that.
People need to start asking questions again. Is it only just us loudmouths? That's what I call myself. But because I'll say something. And people look at me weird. And I have a sister that's, not a loudmouth. And she always sort of looks at me like, what is she going to say now? But you have to stick up for people.
Yep.
Right. So, I mean, that's basically what the neighbor is saying. And she is the only one that's come forward that was actually in contact with the 15-year-old. I'm sure no one else will say anything.
I don't blame her at all. I just, maybe, I don't know, you just wish something had been different. Thank God she did even feed him. I say that to her. Thank God.
Right. Well, I mean, no, I mean, it all rests on Gloria and Brian.
Yeah. Well, she couldn't really do much more because, he's 15 years old. So she's found to figure, well, if he's got something to say, eventually he will open up. But he was so afraid that he didn't do that.
Yeah.
And he might not have come back. I mean, I think she was right. At least she was feeding him. That's so sad.
Anyway, that's all I want to say, and bye, everybody.
Bye, Pat.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
It is awful. Guys, I'm going to
My
start
heart.
winding this down. This is a big one to take in. We're still going to go live about it when there's updates, future developments, because it's just a lot to take in.
Yes, it really is. It's just.
Yeah. Absolutely gross. Horrific.
Well, I mean, it's like, what Big Eyes, and we were talking this morning, it's just absolute depravity. I mean, it's beyond meanness. It's just demonic.
Yeah, I couldn't even find descriptive words enough to express, how totally horrible this is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I've never heard anything this bad in my 62 years of breathing.
Nope.
I mean, this is bad.
And we read about child abuse, children going missing, children being murdered every day, and it's terrible. Don't get me wrong, that we're a very desensitized society. This blew my mind.
Yep. I thought it had to be like made up. That's why I started reading about it, because I said, I just can't believe this would be real.
No, I didn't either. Yeah, Nicole is exactly right. She said, I don't think I have either. It sounds like a horror movie. It does. It sounds like a horror movie. One that I would never watch. I would see the trailer and say, no, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you. All right, guys, we have a lot of shows next week. We have a show about summer coming up on Monday. We're going to do a recap with Stacy, Michaela Jones's mom, because our live from yesterday rattled some chains. It got some stuff, got some people upset. So she's going to give us an update. Of course, we have Dr. Phil next week, not on the show. I wish he was, but you know what I mean. The Dr. Phil show about summer. So we have a lot of shows next week. Hit the subscribe button, get notified, share this video, share the video yesterday about Michaela. She needs all the attention she can get. I know what Big Eyes is working on a video. Check out what Big Eyes too, because she made a video about this situation here, this horrific situation in Houston. So we have the best chat. You guys keep it lighthearted. You keep it, you always have interesting thoughts, everything well put together. Best community. We have the best community. If you want to join the Discord, send me an email. You can find my email. It's scrolling at the bottom, or you can find it on the About tab. I'll get you a link and send you over. We have been removing a lot of people from Discord because they're not active in there. It's a safe place, and if no one's ever made a comment, then, they don't, it's for chatting, So if you were removed and you want to come back, let me know. We'll get you back in. On that note, everyone have a super great weekend. Thanks, mods. Thanks, chat. Thanks, What Big Eyes. Always Mr. Kevin. And we'll see you on Monday.
Okay, bye, y'all. Have a good weekend.
Bye, y'all. Have a good weekend.